All right, let's see where we were at. Shada? How do I pronounce your name? Can you help me?
Good. It's Shada.
Shada, I was right. All right, Shada, did you find something orange to share with us?
Yes, and I also have one other thing.
Okay.
So that's the person that I wanted to join the meeting with. I told this to the other room that I was in. Her school is a little bit stricter than mine because her school students are starting to disobey on the laptops. And so I decided to FaceTime her on my phone.
That's awesome. Okay, so you've got a friend joining you. Well,
yes.
You can just hold her up to the screen. I'm glad that you're both here. What's your friend's name?
Brooklyn.
Hey, Brooklyn, we're glad you're here.
Hi.
So, Brooklyn, you're also interested in natural sciences? Awesome.
Yeah.
Shada, tell us what you found that was orange.
A pencil.
Why is that pencil special to you?
Because if I lose my other pencils, I also have other orange pencils that I can use to write down all my notes for school with.
That's awesome. Very creative. Where do you go to school, Shada?
Murray Middle.
Oh, Maury. All right, Jefferson County.
Yeah.
I am a fellow Jefferson County attendee. I graduated from Jefferson County High School.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't go to Maury, but I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Brooklyn, Shada, you want to hold up Brooklyn?
Okay. So my orange thing is a jacket to keep me warm because I get cold a lot. I mean a lot.
That's an awesome thing to pick. Brooklyn, do you go to Maury as well?
No, I actually go to a Joppa school.
Joppa?
Yeah, Joppa. I used to go there with her.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys kept in touch, and I'm so glad that you brought her along on the phone. I think that we could figure out a way for her to be able to get Zoom on her phone for the next one.
Yeah, her mom, her dad, and her brother are gone right now, so she's with her grandmother, and her grandmother always has to talk to her mom to be able to download apps on her phone.
Yep, I understand.
She'll be able to download it on her phone.
That sounds like a really good plan. I'm glad you have a plan. We've got a question in the chat. No, you do not have to be attending SACEF in order to be in the club. We would like to support your scientific endeavors no matter where you're going to go enter something. This is primarily geared at middle school and high school students. So I don't know if we've got two more folks with their cameras off. Cara Beth, would you like to tell us what you found that's orange?
Marker?
A marker. Tell us about your marker. Why is it important to you?
Because I draw a lot.
What do you draw? We've got two drawers in this group.
Just mainly cartoon stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. Maybe you and Zoe can connect about the things that you like to draw. Where do you go to school?
Happy Valley.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here. And we've got, you're gonna have to help me with this name. I did okay before on Shada. Safaya? I think you've gotten yourself unmuted. Can you tell us about your orange thing you found? Maybe not. If you manage to get yourself unmuted and you can figure it out, go ahead and let us know, or you can type it in the chat like you did with your previous question. And I'll be happy to read it and make sure everybody hears what you have to say. We'd love to know what you found that's orange. I'm so glad that all of you are here. We've got a couple of adults in the room with us. I'm Jennifer, and I am a member of the SACEF board. I participated in the SACEF when I was a student. So I then became a teacher and brought students to compete in SACEF because I love it so much. And then I stopped teaching and started working for another company doing STEM outreach programs and decided I couldn't stay away from the science fair. So I had to get involved and help on the board. So I'm really glad to be here and help you guys work on your ideas. The orange thing that I found is a roll of 3D printer filament, because this was a skill that I had to learn for my new job that was not something I ever thought I would learn. But I picked it up pretty quickly, and now I have a 3D printer back here behind me. You can probably see it over there, because I had to use it while I've been working from home. And lucky for me, it was orange filament that was in it. So we also have another board member here, so I'm gonna let Anne introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Ann Cronk, and I also have been a teacher and had lots of students have science fair projects. So I'm excited to continue that as a board member, and I teach biology at Pellissippi State.
Did you find something orange, Anne?
Yes. My little notepad.
I am sure I know why that's important to you. I got stacks and stacks of them here too. I couldn't survive without them. Oh, look. Oh, okay. We've got a comment from, you're gonna have to help me with the name again. I'm sorry, Safaya. You've got an orange necklace that was given to you by your best friend. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing about your orange necklace. Do you mind to tell us where you go to school as well in the chat? You guys are good at this chat stuff. I'm glad that you're keeping it going over there. It's like having two conversations at once. You're saying it correctly. Thank you. Arizona. That's awesome. How did you find out about our STEM club? I'd love to hear more about that. I do some work in New Mexico with a STEM outreach program, and we're trying to get into some schools in Arizona, so maybe you can help me out. While you're telling us in the chat how you found out about this club, I would like to have Jan introduce herself. We got another board member here in the room with us. Oh, you're on mute, Jan.
Sorry about that. I had unmuted earlier and then I muted back. My name is Jan Coley, and I am a retired educator, and I have worked with SACEF for many years and have had many students to come to the science fair. And my orange object, I don't know if you can see it or not, is my dog bowl, because my dog is my best friend now that all my children are gone and I don't have too many students. And so my dog is my best friend, and orange is our favorite color. So, and we're just thrilled to have everybody here and looking forward to hearing all the great plans that you have for your projects.
And that brings us around to Erin, who is one of the most important people that we've got here, the mentor for our group. Erin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Aaron Onufrak. I am a graduate student at the University of Tennessee. And my orange object is the soccer ball that I play with when I am having troubles with a project and I need to think it through. And I throw it off my wall, and it helps me work through problems. So
That's awesome. I think we could all use some things like that.
yeah.
Good little strategy for you guys. If you get stuck thinking about something, distract yourself with something else, right? I bet you doodlers do that sometimes too. Well, no, Zoe says no, never. Well, we are so glad that you guys are here, and we'd like to learn a little bit more about the projects that you have in mind. And if you don't have a project in mind yet, start to help you develop a project. So there are quite a few of you here, and I'm excited about that. Can you guys do some hand raising to tell me, raise your hand if you have an idea for your project this year? Just Olivia. All right, that is interesting. All right, Olivia, Do you mind to tell us a little bit about your project idea?
Sure. So I'm actually part of the scientific modeling class at my school. And so for that class, we develop a project having to do with, it can be environmental science, it can be pretty much anything. And so my project that I'm doing for that class is what I'm going to be entering into the fair. And so my kind of problem or question is how can we combat the negative effects of deforestation, which is kind of the nutrient levels in the Brazilian Olibrajos coral reefs, because there are a lot of coral reefs that we do hear a lot about, like the Great Barrier Reefs in Australia and things like that. But every single coral reef is different. So things that may work for one coral reef may not work for another. And so my project is going to be investigating existing solutions that we have for different reefs, and then kind of how those would adapt or change for this particular reef system.
That's a really interesting idea. How'd you come up with that?
Part of my, what I do when I kind of brainstorm for a project is I write a bunch of topic ideas, and 2 of those were coral reefs and deforestation. And I was kind of trying to see like which ones I could combine, and I figured, well, maybe I'll combine these. And so I started looking into like what existing research there was and stuff like that. And I found the Olibrajos reefs, which is, they are the biggest reef system in Brazil, but they don't get studied as much as the other ones, but there's still enough research that I can go off of. I had to kind of find a coral reef that was in the perfect spot where there was enough research, because I'm not going to be able to go to Brazil, where there was enough research for me to base mine off of, but there wasn't, so much that what I wanted to talk about had already been discussed.
That is a really good strategy. I think that a lot of you guys who don't have an idea yet could maybe do something similar to what Olivia was saying, just writing some ideas about what you're interested in and then see how you can pair them up. That's really cool. Olivia, are you a junior or a senior?
I'm a senior.
Okay. Do you have anybody helping you out with your project?
Yes, so my kind of advisor for it is my scientific modeling teacher, Mr. Schultz, who also teaches AP Environmental Science, and I'm in those classes at the same time. So we've scheduled meetings throughout the year to kind of check in on our project and kind of get feedback on like, okay, here's where you can, clean up your research question a little bit, and here's where, here's a good source you might want to use, things like that.
That's awesome. So you're well on your way.
Yeah.
All right. Safaya, I saw that you had an idea, but I know you're going to have to type it in the chat. So if you want to go ahead and type it, I'll read it out to everybody. And I think I saw that Shada had her hand up. Did you already have an idea, Shada?
Wait, before we move on, we have another student who joined us, I think, Carabeth, if they want to introduce themselves.
I think we talked to Carabeth. Carabeth told us that she likes to draw and goes to Happy Valley, right, Carabeth?
Sorry, I missed that. I apologize. The tiles got rearranged and I thought she was new.
We'll blame Jason for that one.
Whoa, my bad.
Popped in and rearranged our tiles.
I'm actually going to leave and leave y'all alone now, so continue.
Shada, what was your idea?
So me and my friend, we don't know yet, where we just started talking about this today. And
Okay.
I talking to her this morning, but she had virtual school this morning. But how long do we have for this?
You have a while. You should start thinking of your idea now, though, so that you can do background research. You have to have everything pretty much finished up by the end of February for registration.
Okay.
So you got a couple of months. But are you talking about doing it with your friend Brooklyn, who's on the phone, or do you have another
Yes.
friend? Oh, that's awesome. Jan, you'll know this better than I do. Can we have a cross-school team enter SASEF?
I think so, but we'll double check on that because I just need to verify that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Shada. So before we get too far with your team project, let's check that out.
I'll tell you what, I'll pop out and pop back in a few minutes with an answer. Okay.
Okay. That
So
sounds good.
what are the two schools?
Murray Middle and Joppa Elementary.
Where is Murray Middle? Okay, Joppa Elementary, what grade?
6th grade.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and Murray Middle, that's where?
Jefferson County.
Oh,
Maury.
Maury. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't say it correctly.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. Okay, well, I'm gonna pop out and I'll be back. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll find out a little bit more about that, Shada, before we try to go a little bit farther with your project. And we have some information in the chat here, so let's make sure that I'm reading that out. Sophia has a project on Native American plants to see its efficacy on Streptococcus pyogenes. Help me out with that one. It's more in microbiology and chemistry than natural sciences. I think that your microbio is going to fall here in natural sciences, so I think that'll be a good place for you to be. That's really awesome. You study native plants to see if it can kill bacteria. What grade are you in, Sophia? And after you tell me that, I want to ask you the same question that I asked Olivia, 11th grade. How did you come up with that research problem? Because since we've got a lot of people in here who don't yet have a research problem, we'd like to give them some ideas on how they can come up with one. So we've got Zoe and Trevor and Carabeth who need to come up with some ideas for their projects. Zoe, what grade are you in? 8th? Trevor, what about you?
6th.
6th? Oh, will this be your first science fair project?
Yes. Well, kind of. It would be the first one that I really had. I worked on one in 5th grade, but then we shut down and we couldn't really do it.
Okay, well, yeah, I understand that for sure. That happened to everybody, I think. What school do you go to?
What school do I go to?
Yeah.
Cedar Crest Middle School in Lebanon, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, that's what I thought. Okay, so we're gonna be wondering how you found out about this too. How'd you find us?
Well, actually, I really don't know. This was all my mother's thing, not mine. She just asked if I wanted to join, and I said, sure, why not? I'll give it a
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you joined, and I hope we can help you come up with a good idea. Carabeth, did you say what grade you're in at Happy Valley? I don't think you did. Well, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Can you try one more time?
8th grade.
8th grade, all right. Okay, so we got to come up with a couple of junior level projects. Jan, what'd you find out about our team?
It's okay. We've had it before. I thought it was, but I wanted to verify. I was pretty sure that it was fine. So yes, you may.
All right, that's great news. That's the way that it should be. Science is so collaborative. It wouldn't make sense for us to want to exclude a team who's doing cross-school collaboration.
Right.
So Shada and Brooklyn, you want to tell us a little bit more about the idea that you started talking about today?
Well, we haven't really gotten to talk because we've both been doing schooling all day.
Oh, okay. So we still have to come up with an idea.
Yes, which
Okay.
we'll probably be talking every day about this.
You probably will be. I did a team project whenever I was in SACEF, and my partner and I spent a lot of time talking with one another.
Yeah.
But that's important. That's a very important part of science. Sophia has told us that she's been working on this project for a few years. I've been interested in bringing a solution to the antibiotics crisis, and native plants is something I've been interested in. So I put the two together, and I've been working on it for a while now. That's really awesome. I'm glad that you've got such a good idea. So Sophia, will this be a continuation project of one that you took to ISEF last year? And for everyone else, she's kind of said the same thing that you heard from Olivia about looking for two things you're interested in and putting them together. Okay, awesome. Continuation project. That's great. That's great. I can't wait to see what you do with it. All right, so we've got to think of a way to help our junior level students who don't have project ideas yet. What kind of stuff are you guys interested in besides drawing and Boy Scouts? What other kind of interests do you have?
So I would. Oh, go ahead.
It's fine. You can go ahead. It's fine. You go ahead.
So I don't know if this would go for natural sciences, but I love I have horses at my farm, and I love doing anything to keep them safe and just learn about what kind of health and kind of stuff that I need to have maybe studied or work on to continue having those horses.
Okay, that would absolutely fall into our natural sciences area. You could probably do a project that involves horses. If you decide to test anything on your actual horses, though, you have to fill out all those forms that Jason was talking about at the beginning of the presentation. So if you have animal or human subjects, there are a lot of things you have to do to make sure you're taking good care of your horses. So that's something to think about if you decide you want to do a project with horses.
I'd actually have to ask my mom first because she went to school for animal science. Well, not animal science, but she went to school to train how to work with horses.
That's awesome. Well, she probably has some good background to help you.
Can I pop in here just a second, Jennifer? Okay,
Yeah.
one of the first things that you would want to do if you're going to do a project with horses is talk to your veterinarian, and I would imagine that your mom has a veterinarian, and that's one of the people that has to sign off on the fact that you're doing everything that is appropriate and not being doing anything that would harm your horse or horses. But I think that's a great idea, but just know that you want to start with your veterinarian, and kind of they can probably even help you come up with some really good ideas. Do you have multiple horses or just one?
Just two.
Just two. What kind of horses are they?
They are miniature ponies.
Oh, okay. You've got miniatures. Okay.
They're like the size of my desk, which is
Right.
not very big, but
yes,
like the actual desk part, the part that I actually use for like school and stuff, that's about their size.
right. And there's probably some really good projects you could do using those.
Thanks.
So maybe Trevor, if you want to talk to your mom and talk to your horse's vet, maybe you'll have some more ideas to come back with next time. I'd love to hear where that goes.
Yes, I would love to hear that too.
Kara Beth, what were you going to tell us?
I'm in the decision between gardening and something to do with animals and how to take better care of them. I guess I'm kind of more experienced with animals than gardening in a way. I do have a lot of knowledge on animal health care. We have a bunch of animals at home, ranging from chickens to guinea pigs to all other sorts of animals. And gardening, I know a lot of people who own farms and know a lot of stuff about that, and maybe improving a better way to find a better solution for gardening for better food production and stuff like that.
Oh, that's an interesting thing to look at, trying to increase crop yields. You don't have a ton of time to grow very many crops between now and SASEF, so that's something to think about. But there are a lot of plants that would grow pretty quickly that you could test some things on. The advantage of plants over animals is that you don't have to fill out all those forms we were telling Trevor about. You can abuse plants a little bit, but you can't abuse animals. So that's something to consider. But when you work with plants, you've got to take the time to grow them. So starting now would be a really wise idea. Aaron, I see you. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the good thing with plants is you can control them a little bit easier. You know, they're not going to run away from you or bite you. So, you know, it's good to work with.
It depends on what kind of plant, though. That's the thing.
That is true. Yes. I would avoid trying to grow a tree between now and say SIF, but definitely, as a person who studies plants, I would encourage anyone to study plants.
Carabeth, that's good news for you because now you have a connection with Aaron, who can maybe help you think about some ways that you could turn your interest in increasing the food production of plants into a project that you can do in 2.5 months. So that might be a really good, helpful connection for you. What do you think, Aaron? Think you can help her come up with some ideas?
Absolutely. And one thing for everyone who's maybe struggling to come up with a project is one thing that helps me is I just start to write out questions, and just as you write out questions, start to think about the variables that you could play with to answer those questions. And you don't want to change too many variables because then it gets confusing. So it's a good first step.
That's really good advice. Starting to think about questions that you wonder. Maybe you want to take Olivia and Sophia's tact of writing down some topics you're interested in, and then take Aaron's tact of turning them into questions that you might wonder about. So Carabeth, if your question is something like, how can we get plants to produce more food? Then you might want to start thinking about, like Aaron said, variables. What could you change to try to get the plants to make more food?
Maybe plants would be better though. I don't know. I'll think of that.
No, Trevor, I'm not trying to steer you away from horses at all. You should go with what you're interested in. If your passion is in the project, you're going to like it more and you're going to come up with a better idea and have a better overall project. Don't grow plants just because Carabeth is into plants.
Yeah.
You're into horses and you want to do a horse project, that's the thing to pursue. I think we've all had to do some projects that our heart's not been in before. When you got to do something for a subject that you don't really like, and so you end up not spending a lot of time on it and it doesn't turn out very well.
Always follow your heart, as Jennifer says, when it comes to a science project. Always.
Yeah, we're definitely not trying to steer you away from horses, just trying to make sure you do it the right way.
And start out the right way, down the right path.
Exactly.
It's just the fact of I live on a farm and we have horses and we grow plants too, so it's kind of like a 50-50. It's like, which one's gonna run away or which one's gonna take the longest?
Now you're scared of them biting you, like Aaron said, aren't
that
you?
kind of thing.
You can maybe even combine the two, plants and horses, if you're interested.
That actually wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, that's kind of what Olivia and Sophia were talking about, right? Mull that over a little bit. How could you combine horses and plants? Zoe, what about you? What kind of interests do you have? Let's try to get you going down a path for ideas.
Oh,
Well, I've always liked zoology and stuff, the study of animals and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I could maybe do something around that.
Do you have animals?
Do that. I have a dog and a fish.
Okay.
That's
okay.
it.
Are you interested in studying your dog or your fish, or are you thinking of some other types of animals?
I'm thinking wildlife animals.
Oh, okay. Okay. So maybe like some observations of nature sort of data that you'd collect instead of necessarily experimenting on them?
Yeah, I don't want to experiment on my dog.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. If you're not set on a specific type of animal, doing experiments on invertebrates is a little bit easier than doing experiments on vertebrates, like, squirrels or birds. If you could think of a project that you could do on like ants or earthworms or something that doesn't have vertebrae, you don't have to fill out as many forms, which is nice. Also, they're easy to get because you can get them out in your yard or from a bait shop or something. And you don't have to take good care of them like horses or squirrels or birds. So if you are interested in experimenting on an animal, crickets, ants, worms might be a better path. But your idea about observations could be something that you could pursue too, like taking data out in the forest of birds or squirrels or something.
In a lot of counties, your TWRA, Tennessee Wildlife Association, a lot of your fellas and ladies that work for them would be more than willing to work with you on something like that. That would be a good place to start with some research and some outreach.
And Zoe is in Knox County, she told us. And so there are, you can go to check out IAMS and talk to them about data that they collect. The UT Arboretum is just on its way to Oak Ridge, close to Knoxville, and they've got a lot of people there who would be willing to help you out.
IAMS might be a good idea. I live really close to there.
Oh, that would be great.
You just have to drive a certain way down my neighborhood and you pop up there. One of our roads is actually an IAMS trail.
Perfect. That's a perfect place for you to go then. Because
sometimes there are places with nature cams. So if there's some kind of camera system that you can find, and IAMS might be able to tell you some places that have that. You know, it's already set up so you could do some observing and decide on a type of data to collect through those observations.
And those cameras are typically really good at like capturing mammals. So if you're interested in mammals, the cams might be helpful. Or if you're interested in birds, you can take nature walks and just look for birds and try to identify those.
do we get your wheels spinning a little bit?
Options. Yeah. You can just like see the gears turning in my head. I'm just trying to process all this.
I can. I like it, and I like that. I saw you writing some notes, so that's good. I hope that you come back with some good ideas. All right, Shada, we're back around to you in Brooklyn.
Okay, so me and her were actually talking in the beginning, and both of us have had a thing with like sea animals and like oceans. So we were thinking that we could do something on like the terms of that.
Sea animals and oceans.
Yeah,
All right.
like something to do with like that.
So this might be a good time for you guys to start thinking about some questions that you would ask about sea animals and oceans.
Because I've actually done a project type thing for one of my old schools that I actually had to do something with dolphins.
Okay. What did you do with dolphins? Just research?
Like we did a research, and it was actually at her old school, or the school that Brooklyn goes to, so she might actually remember it. So we had to go to one of the back tables for language arts, and we had to pick out an animal that we wanted to research. Yeah, Brooklyn's remembering it. And I chose a pink river dolphin to research on, and it was actually kind of fun.
So if we want to take your dolphin idea and your sea animal idea and turn it into a project for SASEF, I think questions are the way you're going to want to go.
Yeah.
Because we don't just want to gather information about an animal like you would do for your back table project.
Yeah.
But if we can identify a question for you, we can maybe take you down the path to do some research on dolphins or sea animals. Harder to do research on sea animals here in East Tennessee, but it can be done. Got any thoughts on this one? Aaron or Ann or Jan?
My gears are spinning currently. Trying to think.
Right now, our school is actually talking about oceans and stuff, science.
Her school, she just told me that her school is actually right now for science, they are doing oceans and stuff.
You know what might help you guys think about your idea for an ocean project is Olivia's project has to do with coral reefs. So she's doing research on oceans from here in East Tennessee. Olivia, do you have a procedure worked out for your research yet?
So I use a lot of databases. I don't know what databases they have access to because they're in middle school. But I use JSTOR, and a good one for like introductory stuff is Credo, which kind of has like basic articles. But I definitely wouldn't just go to Google and use Wikipedia, because we can't always trust what's on Wikipedia. So I would say do a lot of research, but make sure that it's coming from like sources that you can trust.
What is that database that you just said?
I said Credo, and then I mentioned JSTOR also.
Right now would be a really good time to look for some possible database information around the oceans and all the weather that is taking place, unusual weather that's taking place. So you may, you might be able to find some information in a database that would help you.
Yeah.
Um,
And every year I go down to Florida for like summer. So that might help me a little bit.
Yeah, if you get a good idea for this year's science fair project and you decide you want to continue it into another year, maybe you'll get to collect some data in person over the summer.
Yeah.
What were you going to add, Anne?
I think there's the Ocean and Atmospheric Agency that would be a good source of just, look them up and see what they say, and that you might find some contact information to ask some questions to kind of get you rolling on some ideas.
That's excellent advice. Shada, the NOAA has an office in Oak Ridge, NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. And I've worked with their researchers before, and you can send them an email and they'll just email you back. That's another thing I want to make sure you guys know, that as you start to come up with these ideas, reach out to some people who aren't necessarily just your teachers and your parents. You can email strangers with your parents' permission. You can email strangers who work at NOAA or who work at Oak Ridge National Lab or who work at UT, who have research interests that are similar to yours. And they'll a lot of times answer your questions and help you out. And they may even be able to help you develop your question into a more refined state. Don't be afraid to do that kind of stuff. And if you need help getting connected with those people, if you email Jason Moody, who's in charge of this virtual science club, the mentors and the other people who are involved, the other adults who are involved, will help to connect you with those people. You're lucky because we've got that huge network of adults who are interested in science, who are willing to help find their friends to talk to you, or to talk to you ourselves if we have expertise in the area that you're interested in. We're getting a signal from Jason that it's close to 8 o'clock and we have to wrap it up. So I hope that you guys enjoyed getting to hear from one another and getting to talk a little bit about your science fair project ideas. I think we've got some wheels spinning, so I'm really glad that you all were here and took the time to do this. Don't forget that SASEF is March 29th and 30th. So now's the time to get started on these things. And we really hope to see you and your friends at our next meeting on December 1st. 7 o'clock, we've got Dan Hurst from Strategy, who's going to be speaking, and he might be able to give you some good ideas to get your wheels spinning. Listening to the speakers that we bring is a great way to help you formulate questions. And feel free to reach out to Jason if you have questions between now and then, and he'll get them to the right people.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much. I wish this didn't have to end.
I know it did feel a little bit short tonight, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Well, I'm really glad that we got to have this conversation. And Safaya, I hope that we'll see you again, and I hope that we can get a microphone working for you at least, so we can hear from you, because I think you've got some great ideas and can contribute a lot to this group. So guys, make sure that you come back in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks from then we'll be back in our small groups like this, and I'd love to hear what's going on with your projects, what kind of what you've done with your ideas that you've started today.
And also remember to invite a friend for next time.
Already did that.
Good job, Zoe. I saw that in the beginning. Good work. I want to hear more of their ideas too. We'd love to make sure that we've got a full science fair this year. And it's
I'll try
virtual,
my
so it's
best. It
easy.
sounds fun. It's going to be
It
my
is.
first science fair.
I'm so glad you're participating in your first science fair. You're gonna
Well,
love
I
it.
don't know if I'm going to like really do it, but if anything, I'm just going to make it and then present it to my family. But I'll try.
No, if you're
I'll
presenting
see
it to
if
your
I
family,
can.
you might as well present it because it's virtual. So you don't even have to go
Oh,
anywhere. Right. You could just,
you see, now I'm like 25% more likely to be able to.
good news. That's even better. We want to
See,
make sure everybody can participate. What, Trevor?
see, if it was in person, that would give me an excuse to come down to Tennessee.
Well, maybe next year.
Maybe. You never know.
You guys are great. It was really
Oh.
nice to meet all of you. Hey,
Nice to
Jason.
meet you too.
Hello, how are y'all? Finishing up?
Yeah, we are. We're just wrapping